We're here today to consider the nomination of Mr. Russell T. Vought of Virginia to serve as the next director of the Office of Management and Budget. Mr. Vought has served as OMB's deputy director since February 2018. President Trump nominated him in March as the nation was facing an unprecedented crisis, both health and economic, from the COVID virus. The Office of Management and Budget's playing a key part in responding to this crisis that makes its work more important than ever. In addition to building the President's annual budget, OMB also manages government-wide functions such as agency rulemaking, contracting, grants management, financial management, information technology, program assessment, and property management, just to name a few. Given OMB's vast responsibilities, it's critical to have a Senate-confirmed director in place. Before we hear from the Deputy Director, I want to discuss our response to the coronavirus pandemic. Congress, working with the President, acted to provide needed relief for individuals, businesses, and state and local governments on a series of bills, resulting in spending of unprecedented size. Addressing the pandemic was necessary, and we will emerge from this crisis. Unfortunately, the pandemic deepened our nation's debt and deficits, which were already in an unsustainable path. I look forward to hearing Mr. Vought's ideas on how we can start to address such issues in the future and how we can deal with the growing fiscal challenges. As the most recent budget report from the Congressional Budget Office shows, the overall budget deficit in the first 7 months of fiscal year 2020 was $1.48 trillion, which was $949 billion more than the deficit recorded at the same time last year. CBO currently projects the federal budget deficit will be $3.7 trillion this year. I remain concerned about the nation's fiscal health, and I know many of my colleagues share this concern. While we had the financial tools to address this crisis this time, we should not assume that this will always be true. This unprecedented national crisis has highlighted the need for better budgeting. The federal response to the crisis was necessary, and there may be more legislation coming. But we must ensure the federal government also develops a sustainable plan for budgeting. A working budget process is needed rather than the recent structure where the motto seems to be, everyone gets what everyone wants and there are no constraints. The Bipartisan Congressional Budget Reform Act, approved in a bipartisan way by this committee in November 2019, aims to fix the government's broken budget process and would provide a more orderly and deliberative budget process focused on long-term fiscal planning. One other important part of a working budget process is to know exactly where taxpayer money is going. That's why it's critical that OMB provide Congress and the public with a program inventory. That way we can see how resources are used. Then we can be better informed when we make spending decisions. This inventory, which I've been working to obtain for some time now, will help the government eliminate budget deficit in the first 7. I wish that were true. Would help to eliminate duplication, which is currently plaguing our vast bureaucracy, and have a better way to ensure programs are working as intended. One area of positive news is that interest rates are currently very low, and we have more flexibility in borrowing money to aggressively attack the coronavirus crisis. We should not always assume this will be the case. Failure to address our unsustainable budget will mean future Congresses will not have the same flexibility to deal with threats. I'm eager to hear Mr. Vought's views about reforming the broken budget and spending process. Finally, I know that Mr. Vought and his OMB team are charged with helping to both oversee many of the programs we established in what surely has to be record time, and I suspect many of my colleagues are interested in hearing what the administration is going to when they're going to complete this enormous task. In these times of unprecedented actions, we've asked the Trump administration to act quickly, efficiently, and with a goal to returning our country to some normalcy. I look forward to hearing from Mr. Vought about how this is being accomplished and what we can do to help improve these efforts. I believe, despite our differences, everyone in Congress looks forward to a time when our nation is on the better side of this pandemic.